Welcome, lovely to see you, to be with you, and lovely to be. What is it that we are looking for? Peace and happiness. When there is peace, all is well. The peace that bypasses the mind, the peace of being, God's peace. On the surface, there may be all sorts of events thunderstorm, sunshine, earthquake. The body may be experiencing some pain. But the peace of being is not dependent on the weather. It's not dependent on the health of the body. It's not dependent on world politics. Because these are superficial events. But when our peace and our happiness depends on anything. We are cooked. There is this metaphor of a large oak tree and a blade of grass. In the storm, the oak tree is standing tall and strong. But as the wind gets stronger, the oak tree is toppled down to the ground, while the blade of grass which is barely perceptible, is still dancing in the wind. So when we take the position of being an oak tree, a large, solid oak tree, we better hold on tight to our roots, because that wind is coming. Somebody told me recently, I know I am not the body, I know I'm not a woman, a man, I know I'm not a person. I know I'm not an object. But I'm not satisfied because I need to know what I am. What is it that needs to know in this moment? What is it that is not known in this moment? The mind complicates things, while presence, or simply being, is not lacking anything. There is a freedom in the understanding that this I is this infinite beingness, the reality of being, the reality of our experience in this moment. And that the mind, thoughts, and perceptions, sensations, like a floating dream, the passing dream within this reality, the reality of being, the reality of presence. Which doesn't know the sense of lack. You have to go to the mind. You have to go to stories and images to experience the sense of lack. That this is missing and that is missing. It's a movement of thought with the belief in a separate I, the belief that I is some objective, physical reality. But in being, in simply being, there is just being. Not being a woman or a man or somebody, a mother, a daughter. In this moment of eternity, this moment of eternity, which has no dimension. It's just awareness. Everything is complete, in perfect order, because there is no mind that is trying to impose its conditions. Here are my conditions. I want this and I want that. I don't like this and I don't like that. And this is how the sense of separation is formed. It is made out of these conditions. And these conditions, they reside in the body as feelings. I don't feel too good about this. I feel better about that. And this bundle of feelings make the sense of me. They compose the sense of me as a so-called person who knows how things should be, how the world should be. It's a bundle of feelings, sensations within the body. They come together to create a sense of a physical entity. This physical entity is some sort of imaginary reality. It becomes our reality, but not really, because there is one reality. And that reality is not an object that is born and will die. It's the reality of being, the reality of consciousness. And yet we live as a person, we live as a woman, as a man. We believe and we feel we are this person. We are a limited form, a limited object. So we live as if we exist in the limitation of the world and the limitation of time and space. So that's at the core of our being. We have adopted deep within us this belief of being a limited entity. Deep within us, there is this falsehood. And as a result, the events in the world, the events in the body, they seem to affect us. There is an inner agitation. The surface, the events of the surface, they reverberate deep within us, and we feel agitated, concerned, worried, troubled. We don't want the world to be how it is. We want it to be peaceful. We struggle. We feel agitated when the world is agitated. We feel agitated when the body is ill or sick or agitated. We feel agitated when our children, our family, our parents are agitated. We become like a firefighter. We are constantly working on putting out the fires. One fire after another fire after another fire. There is no rest, no tranquility, no equanimity, no peace. Because we have objectified ourselves as a woman, as a man, as somebody. We've materialized ourselves. We've materialized consciousness, awareness. That which we are is this transparent beingness, intelligence, reality, which is not a male or female. The body, the world, thoughts, their appearances. Like in your night dream, there are so many appearances. Butterflies and elephants, all sorts of appearances in your dream. But you are the dreamer. You are not an appearance. Similarly, in this moment, in the waking state, you are not a female or male appearance. You are that same reality, the reality of awareness, the same reality in the dream state, the waking state, the deep sleep state. You are not in the state. You are not an object in the state. You are the aware presence. The states that appear to you, like this perception is appearing to you. And that, the reality which perceives, is not an object, is not phenomenal, and is not disturbed, is not disturbable. You can only disturb a form, you can only disturb an object, but you cannot disturb consciousness. You cannot disturb reality. And you are this reality, you who, that which hears these words, you know what you are. You know you are this consciousness, you know that. But you are playing the game of being a woman or a man. You have been acting like you are an object, like you are a body. But you know you are consciousness. You know that. And you know that there is one consciousness. There isn't my consciousness and your consciousness and his consciousness and her consciousness. It's one consciousness. You have never known any other consciousness. It's just one reality. It's a knowing reality. You know, I know what I am. I know I am that which I am. The amness, I am this amness, this presence, this beingness, whatever the words are. Not some object appearing in time. Appears in you. Appears in you. Right? Whenever you are disturbed, it's because you are assuming yourself at that moment to be somebody. As soon as you assume yourself to be somebody, a man, a woman, mother, father, the neighbor, a person, the full potential of unhappiness, the full potential of unhappiness is available for you. The full unhappiness of anger, jealousy, madness, sense of lack, depression, worry, the full spectrum of the negative emotions is available to you because of that belief. It's the game we play. We play the game of being somebody. Consciousness, the play of consciousness. But consciousness also plays the game of knowing itself. The end of the roller coaster ride. The end of the roller coaster ride. And the celebration of life, of beauty, of friendship, of creativity, of love. The celebration. The celebration of freedom, of being, effortless being. Any questions?
Hi, Magdi.
Hello, George.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi, I have a question. Sometime in the past, I think it was just last time, you talked about our beingness being a noumenal experience, and it has no location in space. I understand that, but I would like to ask about location in time. It is clear to me, well, in my direct experience, well, first of all, the future seems clear to be purely fictitious. And in my direct experience, there's one sense only now. But anyhow, what about the past? To what extent is that real? Please talk some more about time.
So one could say that there is a physical past. When you visit Rome or you visit Greece or many parts of the world, there is ample evidence of a physical past, Roman vestiges and Greek statues and fossils of fish and snails or whatever, trees. So this pharaoh, the pyramids of the Incas and the pharaohs and etc. So there is a ample evidence of a physical past. And you can also come to the understanding about the physical evidence of a future by looking, for example, at some of Jules Verne's drawings of balloons and helicopters or whatever, way before the advent of helicopters and airplanes and so on. So you can preclude that there is a future, a physical future, such as, for example, some of the robotic work that's going on right now, and the robotic work that started, 30, 40 years ago, that were strictly on the drawing board. And now actually there is quite a bit of evidence that many of these concepts and designs to various extents have manifested. Now, in the non-dual teaching and non-dual exploration, contemplation, we contemplate the reality of, you name it, the reality of experience, the reality of thoughts, the reality of perceptions, the reality of consciousness. We contemplate the reality. So we therefore contemplate the reality of time, the reality of physical time. Which brings you head to head with the reality of consciousness. Because the reality of the future, the reality of the past, has also to be the reality of the present, because of the continuity, the continuous relationship between the past, the present, and the future. So when you come to the contemplation of the reality of time, meaning the reality of the past, the future, you contemplate the reality of present, of the present, which brings you head to head with the reality of consciousness, the reality of awareness. The reality of consciousness. So because consciousness is one, meaning it has no beginning and ending, no borders, no location, it does not exist in some other reality, whether you're talking about a material reality or a mental reality. Consciousness does not exist in a material reality or in a mental reality. It exists of its own. It is its own reality, and it's one reality. Once you come head to head with that and come to the understanding about the reality of consciousness, you come to a deeper understanding about physical time, whether it's past or future or present. Now, there are various models about time. There is the linear model about time, that time is extending along a linear dimension. And that It's moving from past to present to future, etc. That's being questioned, of course, now. There are other models about time which basically challenge the linear model of time, where Francis has mentioned sometime that a model of time being as a spool, that rather than a linear model, it's a spinning model, like a spool type of model, where within the spool you have today's event comes in very close proximity to an event of 1,000 years ago in the spool. And if you consider that the spool is not like made out of many distinct layers, like the onion, the separate layers of the onion, rather it's a spool, a very tight spool. Then from that model, events of 10,000 years ago and events of today's events are not so distant. This is an interesting model because there is evidence of some minds in the 20th century somehow having an insight into a mind of 1,000 years ago, where there could be some specific experiences or some specific images, some specific mind events that are as if they're like transmuted or between a mind that's living in the 20th century and a mind that's living in the 12th century. It's very interesting, from that model, from the model of its spool. It's of course a model. It makes more sense than the linear model, where an event in 1,200 years ago and an event in the 20th century are so far apart. They're like 700 years apart. How would you jump from back across this long line? Now, what's fascinating about the experience of time is that the experience of time is not separate from the experience of consciousness. That time arises within consciousness as thoughts and memories, and of course sensations. So we may experience an image of our grandmother or of our children who now have married and are living in different towns and different. So in presence, in this moment, a thought, an image appears within consciousness, so that we experience a past, we experience not just a perception or an image or a reflection, but we also experience a sensation, a feeling of the past, whichever way it appears. But this experience of time, whether the past or the future, is actually an experience of awareness. It's consciousness itself taking on the form of a particular specific thought/memory that evokes the impression of time and the experience and the feeling of time. And that's often we don't experience that. For example, this body is 70 years old. We don't experience that. But when a certain image arises, for example, of this person being 12 years old as an image, we may experience age as an image and as a thought and as a feeling. I don't experience that. I'm just speaking theoretically. That there is, because the sense of age is also connected with I am the body. So I'm digressing right now. I'm going on a tangent, but it's okay. So also like the sense that I'm the body. So then when most often we don't experience we're the body. We don't experience age or the body or anything like that. But on occasion, something will trigger an image or a thought about age or about time, that I was 12 and now I'm 70. And when this goes hand in hand with I am the body, then we feel, oh my God, I'm aging. So like while we're like that, then we become hunched, we become like this, you know. Suddenly we become old, you know. But in fact, you know, as a reality, there is no age. Now, of course, the body has an age. We measure it, and there are a lot of evidence about the transformation of the body. But in our experience, our experience about time is fascinating because it's so sporadic. It's not continuous. We're not constantly experiencing ourselves in time, but on occasion we experience ourselves in time. So it's like an appearance. It's like a bump in the road or something like that. So yes, in terms of your question, there is a relative time, and but the absolute time is eternity. So the relative time is eternity appearing as thoughts, appearing as images. And in terms of space, space is more or less beingness, is infinite presence. That's true space in the absolute sense. Space is infinity. But via the senses of the body-mind, then space becomes kilometers and meters and perceptions. So there's a perception of the car is in the garage, or the tree is in the yard, and the table is in the kitchen. So it's via perception. So it's consciousness that via thought manifests as time, and via perceptions manifests as space. In the relative sense, in the sense of the images on the screen. But the screen itself, meaning consciousness itself, is beyond time and space.
Okay, yeah, so that you mentioned that the car is in the garage, no doubt about that, but I'm not in the garage. That is, the eye has no location. And I think you've answered my question. That is what I really want to know in the absolute sense. Does the eye, is there a past in the absolute sense? I know I have memories of the past, there's no doubt about that. There are statues, evidence of the past, just like the cars in the garage. I'm not going to question that. But in an absolute sense, if you look at I, well, you said I is eternal. And what does eternal mean? I mean, just now and that's all, or no time?
No, eternal means not in time.
Not in time. Okay. So that, okay, I think, wait a second, I think I understand. That is, see if I have it now. the concept of location is completely, has no meaning with respect to consciousness or I. It makes no sense to talk about I location. And I think what you're saying is the same as now is true for time.
Absolutely, because a location in space or location in time, it's location.
Okay. Yeah, location in space seems very easy for me to comprehend. The location in time seems a little bit more difficult. Okay, thank you.
Well, to locate I in time, in this moment, how would you do that?
Well, there's a sense of I, awareness. There's a sense of awareness now.
Yeah, but how would you locate that in time? That's my question. How do you locate awareness in time?
I guess I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
That was easy. You're answering your question.
I'll only answer my question after your elaborate explanation, but okay. Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you, Magdi.
There has to be some assumption that consciousness somehow is something in time. So the way to locate consciousness in time is to assume it, to assume that consciousness exists in time, because there is no evidence whatsoever outside of our assumption or belief that consciousness is some sort of event in time, because time is basically a series of events. But in our experience, consciousness is not an event in time. Events appear to consciousness, and the consciousness is not an event. We never experience consciousness as an event. We experience a tornado, we experience the wind, we experience the birds singing. We don't experience consciousness in time, appearing, doing something. And yet everything is consciousness, consciousnessing itself, consciousness creating, being creative. Everything is the creation of consciousness. But this creation is non-phenomenal. It seems to be phenomenal, but it's non-phenomenal, because there is no phenomenal reality. There is phenomena, but the reality of phenomena is noumenal. So there is no phenomenal reality. There is phenomena as appearance, thoughts, sensations, perceptions. but there isn't a phenomenal reality, a material reality, or a mind reality. It's consciousness, the reality, which is the reality. So the noumenal is the reality of the phenomenal. So therefore, there is no, in fact, phenomena as existing of its own. So our experience of the body, our experience of thoughts and memory, and our experience of time, whichever way it appears to us, our experience of the wind, the reality of all this experience is noumenal, is consciousness. There's no a reality to time or space or perceptions or sensations outside, on its own, outside the one reality, the reality of consciousness. So therefore, there cannot be like consciousness and time, consciousness and time as two on the same level of reality. You could say, yes, there is the dreamer and the dreams, like the dreamer is in bed and there is the dreams. But they're on two different realities. The dreamer is on the absolute reality, and the dreams are the creation, the creative aspect of that one reality. So when we don't exist in time, then the feeling that I am aging is a false, is a mistake, is a falsehood. Because I am not aging. The body is aging, the tree is aging, the milk in the refrigerator is aging, the dog is aging, but I am not aging. It's interesting, isn't it? Because it defies our conventional thinking. Of course I am aging. This is the conventional thinking says I am aging. Of course I am aging. Look at the body, look at my body, and I'm aging. Look in the mirror, I'm aging. It defies conventional thinking and conventional feeling. But yet we're talking about reality. We're not talking about, okay, let's adopt a new belief. Here's a new philosophy. I am not aging. No. If it's, you can't adopt as a new philosophy. You have to sort of come to understanding, okay, about what I is in your direct experience, you say. So it defies the mind. It goes beyond the mind, because the mind it's just a creative aspect of consciousness, like your dream world, your dream mind is your creation. So the freedom, then we're moving from I am aging, I am getting older. We're moving from there. It's a quantum jump. It's radical. We're moving from that to I am absolute freedom, the eternity of being. It's a quantum jump. It's like there was these stories when I was a kid, fables of these kids. They live in the village, and then this one kid, they find these boots, and when they put on the boots, they become a huge giant. They become a huge giant. I don't know. maybe not in the American culture, but so then when they're a huge giant, they walk over the mountains. I mean, they take one step, they're over the Himalayas. It's a quantum jump from I am mortal to I am eternal. I is eternity, not eternal person. Of course, that's silly. It's so ridiculous to say an eternal person. What are you talking about? Come back in 50 years and see. That person is long gone. But it's that stickiness, that sticky thing that I'm a person, I'm a person, that's sticky. It's so sticky. I'm a person. But how do I know I'm a person? I know I'm a person because there is something that appears to me, whatever it is, the feeling, the sensation, the thought, a belief, a dream, that says I'm a person. So it's something appears to me and says, hello, you're a person. But we believe it, you see, we believe it. We say, oh, okay, I believe you. Because we are so used to believe, we believe our parents. When we were little children, our parents, they say, oh, you're a bad girl, you're a good boy. We say, oh, okay, we believe them. So we believe, we are habituated to believe. We believe. So we feel secure. We feel, oh, I believe my parents, they love me now. I say, yes, mama, yes, I am a good boy. Now she loves me. She kisses me, she gives me candy, you see. So I have a reward now. I know how to play the game. So I played the game all my life. Oh, what is my boss saying? Oh, yes, I will sing the song. I will sing the song and I get the reward. Boom, 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 boom. But it has nothing to do with understanding about truth, about reality, about your truth. It has nothing to do with happiness and peace and the true meaning of life. True meaning of life is not to be a chimpanzee. It's not to be a chimpanzee. Okay? It's more than that. If we was meant to be a chimpanzee, we would be chimpanzees, but we're not chimpanzees. So obviously, our game is not the chimpanzee game or the parrot game. There is a different game for us, which is the game of understanding about truth, not about how a car works or how a balloon works or how the hot water heater works. I mean, okay, I mean, that's useful too in a very limited way, but the understanding about truth, about consciousness. About freedom, about happiness. About peace. About reality. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you all. Very lovely to be with you, and always enjoy our company, Holger, Lisa, Malcolm, Vicky, Ola Vicky, George, and Frank. Thank you all. Very, very lovely to be with you as always. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Magdi.
Okay. See you.
Thank you all.
Okay.